Hello everyone and welcome to the Bandit's Den. I figured because the last video, arguments against a plant-based diet, worked out so well, I would make an extension of that and deliver more arguments against a plant-based diet to you guys. So let's get right into it. I think these are all unique from the last video. Apologies if I'm incorrect in thinking that. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to what I say. I just say what I mean and then forget about it. So the first one is lions eat meat. There's two problems. The first one I'll address is biology. Lions are obligate carnivores. They're meant to eat meat. They have teeth and claws for taking down prey. They have a digestive system that is the same length as other obligate carnivores. And they're capable of eating somewhere up to 10% of their body weight worth of meat in one sitting. All right, biologically, we cannot do any of that stuff. We have a digestive system most similar to frugivores. I know a lot of people believe that we are omnivores, but I nowadays believe that we are frugivores, and that is an animal that eats high-calorie plant foods. All right, so our digestive tract is the same body length to tract length ratio as other frugivores from the wild. Our saliva chemistry is intended for breaking down starchy foods, and we have nice blunt teeth for grinding food, not tearing flesh. All right, and then we have nice dull claws that help us grab and dig around stuff and manipulate things so that we can crack open nuts and whatnot. All right, kind of like a squirrel, if you want to go that far away from humankind. Otherwise, there's a lot of frugivore primates. Look at the gorilla. All right, so that's the issue with biology. We look absolutely nothing like a lion, internally, externally. Everything to do with diet, we look nothing like a lion. All right, that's one problem. The second problem is, of course, moral, because that's what veganism is about. A lot of is morality. For me, and I'm sure most vegans will agree with me that this is part of their story too. I went vegan without concern for the environment, without concern for my health. Of course, in the end, it turned out it's better for my health and better for the environment. But I didn't know that at the time. I went vegan just because I couldn't take the immorality of me continuing to violate other sentient beings needlessly. All right? So that's why I'm vegan, is the moral part of it. So as far as the morality of all of this goes, the lions do it, why can't I? If you based your moral code off of lions, society would look completely different. All right, there would be fights to the death over minor disagreements, okay, and people would be killing each other's kids. Look, you guys know I dated single mothers in the past. All right, if I lived by a lion's moral code back then, all the single mothers I dated wouldn't be single mothers for very long, because I would have killed their kids, because that's what lions do. So if we want to justify killing other sentient beings in order to eat them by, well, lions do it, then we need to justify other things by what lions do. If what a lion does is morally legitimate, then just about anything a lion does is morally legitimate, right? So that would justify me killing my ex's kids when I was dating them. And that just isn't right. We wouldn't have a very good society if that kind of stuff happened, all right? I'm sure it does happen, I'm sure, but it's not supposed to. It's not a very moral thing to do, to live like a lion. So this is a shit argument against a plant-based diet. A really common argument I hear from my peers, friends, and family is that vegan is too expensive to do for them. Too expensive. All right. A similar one I've read, nobody's told me this personally, but I've read people talking about veganism being classist or racist or ableist, whatever the fuck that is. I have no idea. But vegan is not too expensive. Listen, when I first went vegan, I was all whole food plant-based. All right? I thought that was the only way to go vegan, was eating whole foods. You know, until my vegan friend about 3 months in introduced me to all these mock meats and, you know, vegan pizza and all kinds of stuff that isn't whole foods. Sure, it made me getting a variety of stuff so I don't get bored a lot easier. But yeah, those mock meats and stuff, they are very expensive. And that's the stuff that people are looking at when they say vegan is too expensive. It's about the equivalent of me as a vegan going and looking at a piece of ribeye and saying, oh, that's $25 a pound or whatever, or however much it is. I know it's fucking expensive. I was never able to afford ribeye back in the day when I wasn't omnivore. So I never bought it, but I'm pretty sure it's something stupidly expensive like that, like $25 a pound, as if it's like saffron or some shit. Yeah, it's like me as a vegan going and looking at ribeye and saying, oh wow, it's too expensive for most people to be omnivores, you know. To tell me to go omnivore is classist and racist and ableist, whatever the fuck that is, I don't know. But yeah, when I was whole food plant-based, I was actually spending less money on my grocery bills than ever before. I mean, my grocery bills were usually like $60 to $100 a week or something when I was eating animal products. When I was eating whole food plant-based, my grocery bill a week was like $30 to $60, you know. And the thing is, to feed someone like me a meal at McDonald's is like $11 or something ridiculous at like $10, all right? So I was feeding myself for a whole fucking week on whole food plant-based for the equivalent of like 3 of my McDonald's meals. And that would feed me for a whole fucking week. So highly affordable, all right? Beans and rice have a complete amino acid profile just like meat. Beans and rice is a good substitute for meat. All right? It gets you all the same proteins that meat does, but it is significantly cheaper. I don't know of any meat that you can get for 50 cents a pound. Okay? That just doesn't exist unless it's green and rotting, in which case your grocery store shouldn't be selling you 50 cent a pound meat just to get rid of it, because that could make you sick and even in some cases paralyze you because of the pathogens in that rotting corpse that you're digesting. All right. So I do admit vegan can be expensive, but so can an omnivore diet. You cook ribeye and ribs and fucking chicken wings every night, all those expensive dead body pieces, just like a lot of the people that say veganism is too expensive. They'll be eating that expensive ass rotting meat every night and tell me that my diet is too expensive for them to afford, when in reality they could easily cut their family's grocery bill in half by going plant-based. All right. So another thing is, it's not racist. A lot of low-income areas of the world actually focuses on a lot of plant-based foods because they can't afford meat. And so it's really classist and racist of you to say that everybody needs to eat meat, or even everybody needs to eat milk, because like half of the world is lactose intolerant. It's mostly just white people that can digest bovine milk, right? And that's because, first of all, they're a different species than us. White people came up with cattle culture, so we adapted to being able to digest milk, right? White people adapted to being able to digest milk because they were drinking it for so long. But the rest of the world can't, because milk comes from a entirely different species, and it's meant for their babies. Milk is meant for babies. Human milk is meant for babies, all right? Some chick gets pregnant, has a kid, and she makes milk for the baby. That's what breastfeeding is, all right? Women don't just walk around dripping all the time. Neither do cows. Cows make milk for their babies. They don't make milk for humans. That's just weird. All right? What would be less weird is you going over to your neighbor's house and asking her to squirt some milk into a glass for you because you're thirsty. At least it's the same species. All right? Still, you're not a baby, though, so it would still be weird. It would be a little less weird than milking a cow, though. But yeah, if anything, an omnivore diet, the standard American diet, is classist and racist and all that. Okay? And again, I think I mentioned the Native American argument I've got from a few natives, because I live around a lot of natives here in New Mexico. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of native people here. Quite a few of them have told me, it's racist for me to say people should go plant-based, because I'm going against, I'm telling them to go against their heritage and their culture and tradition, and telling them to stop hunting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said this in the last video. It's like, well, apparently your ancestors and your culture was that of humans. Because I can't think of any population that never fished, never hunted, never did any of that stuff, at least in the modern day. So that's not to say it's not possible to go vegan. Of course it is. Look at me. I'm nice and healthy, and it's been 1 year and 3 months since I went vegan, so it's all right. I've seen people tell me, actually I got this comment just today from somebody. People tell me, be vegan, that's fine. You have a right to do what makes you happy. Just don't infringe on my rights. Okay? Now this whole thing is just kind of ridiculous. Of course you're fine with me being vegan. All I eat is plants. I don't wear skins of other animals. I don't pay for fur or feathers to be ripped off of anything so that I can wear them. I don't violate, at least I do my best to not violate the lives of, or the safety of, other sentient beings. All right? I do my best. So, of course you're fine with it. There's nothing morally wrong with me being vegan. I'm doing the morally superior thing to what you're doing. And so, of course, you don't have a problem with me doing that. And also, it's better for the environment. So I'm helping to leave a better world for your kids than you are. Of course, you're fine with me respecting the earth that your kids are going to inherit. All right? And of course, you're fine with me being healthier, because if I slack off and I'm unable to pay my medical bills, I'm less likely to have any medical bills for the taxpayers to be burdened with, all right? So all around, me being vegan helps you out. Of course you're not opposed to me being vegan. Me being vegan doesn't violate anybody, for the most part. I mean, there are crop deaths and stuff. There are imperfections to being vegan, but that's mostly just associated with existing. You're going to hurt somebody somewhere along the line by existing. And that's just a nasty fact of life. But the thing is, just because we do cause harm by existing doesn't mean we need to go out there and cause the maximum amount of harm possible. We can reduce as much as reasonably possible. All right? And that includes not intentionally killing things for meat, not intentionally enslaving things for their excretions, not intentionally enslaving things so that we can eat their periods, which is fucking weird too. Chickens, for anybody that didn't know. So, and the whole just don't infringe on my rights thing. Who gave you the right to violate others' rights? Like an animal's right to be left the fuck alone. Who gave you that right? That's not really a right. That's a privilege that's granted to you in the modern day and age. It's a privilege for you to be able to confine, torture, rape, and kill animals. All right? That is your privilege. I don't think it's a right at all. Because it destroys the world. It fucks up your body with all those fats that clog up your heart and fuck up your arteries, your whole circulatory system. Also makes you more likely to get bowel cancer, all kinds of fun stuff. Leaky gut, high meat diets gives you leaky gut, gives you serious digestive issues. I knew a guy recently who had to have an extensive surgery because he ate too much meat. He wasn't eating enough fiber. Okay? So, your right to destroy yourself, the world, and torture, rape, and kill and confine animals. I wouldn't see that as a right, more a shitty privilege that's given to people today who are, and people are irresponsible. So it's a privilege that, in my opinion, should maybe be taken away. Hopefully, everybody wakes the fuck up like I did and moves in this direction on their own, seeing that it is the better way for everybody in the world. This is the better way, all right? Except for people that live in what's it called? The people that live in that place by Russia where the fucking Mongolians live. Siberia. There you go. If you're those Mongolians out in Siberia, plant-based, that'd be pretty hard to do because they herd reindeer and it's what they've done and it's what they're stuck doing. It's all they know how to do, Isolated people like that, we don't have a whole lot of control over them. Isolated tribes living in the Amazon, all of these special cases don't justify what we do in the rest of the world. When we have options. We have options. Those people don't have options, okay? So quit acting like you don't have options. You do. You have an option to get rice and beans that are dried and waiting for you at the grocery store and have a longer shelf life than meat anyways. And they're cheaper, all right? You have an option to choose that over meat every time you go to the fucking grocery store, okay? So anyways, this ties in with people telling me, well, it's my personal choice. It is not a personal choice. For me, it's a personal choice what I eat, yeah, because I'm eating all plants. But for you people who choose to eat animals and animal products, there is somebody else involved who didn't have a choice in it. You are inflicting your will upon other sentient beings and causing them to suffer for your personal choice. There's nothing singularly personal about that. When you involve another individual and cause them to suffer for your choice, yes, you're choosing to cause the suffering and torture, raping, confinement, and killing of other sentient beings. You have chosen that, yes. Is it a personal choice? Not really, because there's someone else involved. And they are your victim. All right? And a lot of people tell me why they can't change, why they just can't. All right? One is age. That's just ridiculous. I've seen people 80 years old go to college. All right? I've seen people in their mid-70s quit drinking after a life of drinking since the age of 13. All right? I've seen them quit because they had finally had enough. They were able to change themselves. They were able to learn another way. All right? So somebody who's 50 telling me, oh, I'm too old to change, leave me alone, is a load of shit. All right? I've seen people 25 years older than you. They were 25 when you were fucking born. I've seen them change and quit an addiction, which meat and dairy and eggs is an addiction, all right? But I've also heard a lot of people tell me, oh, I was raised with meat, dairy, and eggs. Well, so was I. That is not an excuse to not change, that you were raised that way. Me, I have ascended from what I was taught. I was taught to watch TV for entertainment. I don't own a TV. There isn't one in my house. That one I lit on fire on video, I found it that day on the street. That wasn't my TV. I called it my TV for the cinematic effect, all right? That wasn't my TV. I don't even know if it worked. I never tried turning it on because it could have been out in the rain, and you plug in a TV that was in the rain, it could fucking explode inside and cause a fire. So I wasn't about to do that. So instead of causing a fire by plugging it in, I decided to pour gasoline on it for cinematic effect and light that on fire. All right? Preventative measures. So I don't have a TV. Haven't had one for years and years and years. All right? I have ascended above what I was taught as a kid, what I grew up with. All right? I've grown beyond it. I was also taught as a kid that when I grow up, I need to go to college. I need to get a desk job. I need to find a nice woman, get married, and I need to have kids with her. I was taught all of that stuff. Do you think I did any of that stuff? I started with going to college. I did that for 2 years, realized it was a bunch of bullshit, and then started living the street life, hood rat, and acquiring money through illicit means. And then finally I fucking grew up beyond that. I had lots of girlfriends, never married, never had kids. And nowadays I'm working on a real career that doesn't require college. I have absolutely no plans of finding a nice woman and getting married and having kids with her. I plan on living by myself. I have done something different than what I was raised to do. And now I've gone vegan. All right? I'm doing something different than what I was raised around, what I was raised to do. Is that I was raised to eat meat, dairy, eggs, fish. Put my mouth on just about any animal product you could find. All right? I was raised to do that. And I realized that's the wrong thing to do. Morally, it's wrong. All right? That was the first step. And that was enough for me to go vegan. Just realizing that morally this is wrong. No matter how the animal is treated, it's wrong to take their life from them when I don't have to. It's just completely morally wrong. I don't have to because I have access to plenty of plant foods that can nutritionally replace meat. And so it's wrong for me to choose meat and inflict death upon other things. I only found out after going vegan how wrong I was and how easy animals had it, right? I thought, there were like 2 pigs to a pen. No, there's like 8 pigs to a little fucking 5x5 pen in a warehouse. They never see the light of day, ever. Not until they're getting trucked to the slaughterhouse. That's the only time in their life they ever see natural sunlight, is on the truck on the way to the slaughterhouse. That's the only time they get to breathe fresh air in their entire life. Okay? I didn't know it was that bad. The same thing for chickens. Only time they ever see the light of day and breathe fresh air is on the truck on the way to the slaughterhouse. I didn't realize how much they suffered. And there is no other way to raise these animals because the demand is so high. There's so many people demanding these products. There's not enough land to raise them in an ethical way. Raise them in an ethical way. There's no ethical way to kill them. But to raise them in an ethical way, There's not enough land at all. We would need something like 5 Earths worth of land mass in order to raise all of these animals, and we would have to go ship off and live on a 6th Earth in order to, raise all of these animals in a humane way. We would need 6 Earths worth of land for actual free range. Free range is a fucking lie. They just don't put them in cages. So they dump all these chickens on the floor in a fucking warehouse and they mill around on the floor. That's it. And there's like 8 chickens to a square yard or some shit. Now I think there's even more than that. They're really densely packed, all right? So yeah, I don't understand how somebody could see all of that, how it actually is, and not go vegan after that. I went vegan just because of the idea. I thought it was wrong to needlessly kill them. I thought all these animals lived just fine lives. I didn't see how dark and grim their entire life was all the way up till they have their throat slit. And they live terrible fucking lives in terrible conditions. And again, that's the only way to do it, with only having one planet Earth to grow them on. Okay. So then after I went vegan, I also learned that it's better for the environment for me to be vegan, and it can potentially be better for my health too. So the only reason I changed was because we were killing animals for no good reason. I was paying for them to get killed for no good reason. That was all I needed. I don't know why people need more reasons than that. I just don't understand it. And that's a reason that bugged me for a whole year until I just had enough with it bothering me and I went vegan. Even before that, I thought it was kind of weird how we eat dead bodies. Something that was killed 2 weeks ago. Usually if it was a human, it would already be in the ground, right? But this thing was dead 2 weeks ago, and here I am eating it. It's fucking weird. Yeah, so that's not an argument for you not going plant-based or vegan, or anybody not going plant-based or vegan, is I was raised that way. Okay, honey, wake up. We have fucking options in the grocery store. Okay, wake the fuck up. All right? There are options. So go get them. Watch Dominion. If you have trouble deciding if it really is bad what we do to animals, go watch Dominion, okay? Look it up on YouTube. It's right here. Totally uncensored. It's fucking disturbing. I had to take 3 days to watch it. I had to break it up into 3 seconds because it was so fucking disturbing to me. I couldn't watch the whole thing. And I watched it after I was vegan for 1 year. I watched it then because I figured, even though I don't support these industries anymore, I feel like I need to meet my responsibilities and look at what I used to cause to happen, what I used to pay for to happen. I felt obligated to watch that, what I used to cause. And it's fucking terrible. I seriously cried a couple times in the fucking movie, and it's not very easy for me to cry, all right? I haven't cried for a while, okay? But it's very disturbing what goes on in the animal agriculture industry, and you're paying for it, all right? You're paying for that to happen. The only reason it exists the way it does is because people pay for it to happen. If they had no financial backing, they wouldn't do any of that stuff. None of that would happen at all if people weren't giving them money. And it happens just a little bit less because I don't financially support it. And here in America, there's like 4 million other Americans who don't support it. That's that's something like, I don't know, 300 million or a billion animals. No, I think it's like 1.2 billion animals that aren't killed every year because of us or some shit like that. It's something insane. Every year we're saving that many animals from existence in the first place, but also all the suffering and torturing that comes with that existence, all the way up till the knife is pulled across their throat. I'm aware that these animals are not brought into existence because I'm not paying for them to be brought into existence. You know. Anyways, the last argument is that we are the top of the food chain. All right? And this is another thing where it's like, how could you say that? I may have... Actually, I have. I did say that stuff. But it's mind-blowing to me how I could have said that. I guess out of ignorance. You know, show me an animal that eats other animals who refrigerates body parts so that they can eat the rest of the animal later. You know, that holds millions and millions of their prey hostage in an artificial environment and artificially inseminates them by fist fucking their ass and squirting semen from the opposite sex into their cunt. All right? And jacks off the males so they can harvest that semen. You know, sexually violates their prey in order to force them to reproduce. And then feeds their prey the food that they need in order to get fat. And then slits their throat, chops their body up into pieces, distributes it evenly amongst themselves, and keeps the leftovers in a freezer. There isn't an omnivore in the entire world other than humans. There isn't a carnivore other than humans in the entire world that does that shit. That's some sick and disgusting fucking shit. Nature isn't even that sick and twisted. Nature can be really fucked up, all right? But we are way more fucked up than nature because we do all that stuff. We fist fuck cows in order to grab their cervix so that we can shove a bunch of bull semen that we got from jacking off a bull, in some cases by hand, in order to artificially inseminate them, force them to get pregnant, have a baby, and then we kill the baby and eat it in a lot of cases, and squirt out the juice out of her tits into a big old tub, and then take that and let it rot for a month or two. And then out the other end come solids that we then put on our sandwich. Fucking weird and disgusting shit. You know, how the fuck is that anything like a food chain? That doesn't look anything like a food chain. It sounds like some sick shit from a sci-fi novel where humans get enslaved by aliens or some shit. It's disgusting. And I can't believe that I never saw it through this kind of lens before. I never saw it with a filter of reality. This is fucking weird. Don't get me wrong. I loved the taste of brie. Camembert was one of my favorite cheeses. You know, I used to love eating that stuff on a slice of baguette. You know, I don't know if I ever tried veal, which is pretty much, you know, fourth trimester aborted cow baby. That's what it is. It's a slice of a baby, like lamb. But I tried lots and lots of different cheeses, and I liked them all back in the day. But that's because I would forget about where it came from, and a lot of that process I didn't even know, like the anal fist fucking and the killing of the baby, I never even gave it any thought what happened to the baby. I never even really gave it thought that the cow has to get pregnant in order to lactate. I didn't even give that thought. It seems obvious to me now because, yeah, they're a mammal, and that's what us humans do, I never gave it thought that, and I have tried human breast milk. It's okay, I guess. But I never thought that it would actually be more normal. And people tell me I'm weird for having tried human breast milk when they drink cow breast milk. It's not even the same species. Not only is it intended for babies, but it's not even the same species. That is weirder, I think, than trying human breast milk as an adult. It would be less weird, in my opinion, now that I see the truth and I see everything for what it is through a lens of through a filter of reality. It would be more normal for me to go to that woman across the street that just had a baby and ask her to squirt her titties into a glass because I'm thirsty. It would be more normal to do that than to go buy a gallon of milk at the grocery store. Cow milk. That shit's for a baby that is a cow. It's not meant for an adult that is a human. It's meant for a baby that is a cow. All right? You're not a baby cow. I'm not a baby cow. I'm not even a baby. Really shouldn't have even tried human breast milk, but that's significantly less weird than trying bovine breast milk. So none of that shit, even killing those animals in order to eat their corpses, that doesn't look anything like a food chain at all. Where's the nature in this? It's completely artificial. Those animals are selectively bred into existence. They don't even resemble what they used to be. They used to be wild animals, and we domesticated them. We fucked with their genetics by selectively breeding them and fist fucking them and injecting semen we got from jacking off the male part of the species. It's just so fucking weird, dude. Animals like that don't even exist in nature because we selectively bred them. It looks nothing like a food chain. This is not connecting to the world in a natural way. It is one of the most fucked up, torturous freak shows in the history of this world. All right? So anyways, I'm going to preach to you now. You need to go vegan, and it's for your own good. It's for the world's good and the good of the animals. I love animals. Some people who are vegan just respect animals. You can't respect somebody and then kill them, right? I respect you guys. I would never want to intentionally cause harm to any of you. Unless, of course, you're threatening my fucking life. At which case, I would have to defend myself because I'm not a pacifist. I'm not just going to sit there and take it. Or if you shoot at me, I'm going to shoot back, But if you are physically civil with me, I'll be physically civil with you. All right? So, I don't have to like any of you or love any of you in order to not harm you. So, it's better for the world. It can be better for your health if you go plant-based. And you don't have to torture, rape, kill, confine, or do anything. You don't have to partake in any of that shit. At least, no intentional killing. The vegan lifestyle isn't perfect. I step on ants in my backyard. I hit flies and grasshoppers when I'm driving my truck. And I'm aware pests are killed with insecticides in a lot of crops that I eat. And yes, I'm aware that animal agriculture generates so much feces that waste product is used as fertilizer in order to help get rid of it. Fertilizer in the crops that I eat. That's where E. coli comes from on cabbage and stuff. All those recalls on vegetables and leafy greens that had E. coli on them. Well, that E. coli comes directly from animal agricultural products being in the soil, right? They get that stuff on the plants. E. coli only lives in one place in the world, and that is the digestive system of an animal. So, all these problems that animal agriculture causes us when we try to dispose of the remnants, right? You don't have to participate in any of that anymore. There is a way to veganically grow stuff. My house plants are veganically grown. I know this thing behind me is porcine blood. My mother gave it to me. I don't use that in my plants. And I do plan on disposing of it because nobody wants it for whatever reason. When I tell them the reason why I don't want to use this fertilizer and want to give it to them because they're not vegans, it's like, hey, you can use this. It's good fertilizer. It actually gets your plants pretty green, but I'm not going to use it because that came out of a pig whose throat was slashed. And they took the blood and dried it up and call it fertilizer, and they sell that shit. They sell that shit for fucking expensive too. They don't just fire sale it as a waste product. No, they sell that as legitimate fertilizer. That's just pig blood. That's all it is. Alright, I'm going to get rid of that shit, I guess, because nobody wants it. When I tell them what it really is, I want to be honest with them. Some people I've offered that to have probably bought that same fucking product in the stores for their own plants, right? But when I tell them I'm not going to use it because I'm vegan, and I give my plants vegan fertilizers, just plant and mineral products, and they grow just fine. They're strong and healthy. When I tell them that I don't use pig blood for fertilizer, they look at that bag differently. It says blood meal on it. I guess nobody really stops and thinks about what blood meal is. Maybe they think, that's blood for the plants, it gives the plants strong blood or some shit. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. But when I tell them that came out of a pig's slashed throat, and that's why I'm not going to use it, well, that suddenly they don't want that for fucking fertilizer anymore. I'm sure they've bought plenty of fertilizers that have animal blood in them, because a lot of them do, or feather meal, bone meal, all this shit. But they don't want it when I tell them why I don't want it. Whatever, it'll end up in the trash, I guess. I ain't gonna use it. I don't want the blood of tortured souls in my house plant pots. It just sounds karmically wrong. So, anyways, I hope I help somebody go vegan through my talks about it here. Somebody asked me to censor myself a little bit as far as being vegan, and I've decided against that. I don't want to be quiet about it anymore. Somebody told me something like, they enjoy my content but not the vegan stuff, so please do other stuff instead or whatever. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and what I want to talk about is something very important to me, and that's my entire lifestyle. This is part of my life. It's rude to ask me to not talk about it, and the reason most of you who don't like to hear this kind of stuff is because it takes away your ability to remain ignorant, right? A lot of people, when you want to show them slaughterhouse footage, they'll be like, oh, please don't show me that. That'll turn me off to my food. First of all, it's not food. It's a rotting corpse. Second of all, why are you eating that food? If it's not good enough for your eyes, why is it good enough for your stomach? You'd think if we really are omnivores or carnivores or whatever, if we're supposed to eat that stuff, seeing a suffering animal should make you hungry. Alright? Seeing roadkill should make you hungry. You should want to go do something about that waste of meat laying on the side of the road, and that is put it in your car and take it home so you can eat it, because that looks mighty tasty, because you're intended to eat that shit. But no, we find it repulsive. Why? You know, those of you who don't like the fact that you support these industries don't like to hear people like me talk about how I don't support these industries and it is possible to exist without it, because society tells you it's part of indoctrination. They indoctrinate you into believing that you actually need this stuff. And so it's hard to hear somebody like me talk about it. You know, break free from the indoctrination. It's a multi-layered onion. All this indoctrination we've been subjected to all of our lives. And I can't blame any of you. It's hard to believe that some of you may know more about animal agriculture than I did before I went vegan. And I went vegan before knowing any of that shit, and then learned it afterward how horrendous it is. Kind of blows my mind how you could not go vegan after knowing a lot of this stuff I talk about. But I can't entirely blame you, because you're just a victim of indoctrination as much as I am. That we must eat meat because our bodies need it, and that it's a sign of affluence to eat baby corpses in a high-end restaurant, or that it makes you more masculine to harm defenseless creatures. Now, that's just bullying. How masculine is bullying? All we're doing is bullying these animals for a sick pleasure that we get out of it. Anyways, I've gone on too long. I wanted to make this video shorter than the other one, but it's not looking like it's much shorter. So, peace for real, guys. Go vegan. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.